What the US is using right now in its operations against Iran is called Maven Smart System. It emerges from this project that starts in 2017. But what it is today is, if you imagine something like Google Earth, Google Maps for war, imagine a digital screen and a map, but on it are more than 150 data feeds coming in, AI helping to sort through those feeds, computer vision helping to identify possible targets. And what has happened, particularly in the last year or so, is AI tools, LLMs, large language models, helping to begin to offer courses of action, pairing even ideas for pairing a weapon to a target. And that is what is helping speed up those processes that the Admiral was just talking about.
And we've used it already, and by we, I mean the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, out on the battlefield. Carol mentioned 2017 and the genesis earlier from the 1990s with Drew Cooker, but I'm also wondering about where in recent years the technology has been used.
The first time it was really put through its paces is in this very difficult moment in US military history, in the withdrawal of US troops from Kabul in Afghanistan in 2021. And at that point, there was a very difficult situation. People coming into the airport, I'm sure all the viewers remember those scenes. Computer vision was used to try and count the number of crowds. Now, anyone could see with the naked eye there was a crisis unfolding, but this computer vision was able to pick up very quickly how many people were there and send it back to headquarters and help the people on the ground really emphasize how bad the situation was. It was really the first time that multiple people could be on a system without it crashing. So a lot of this is not so much about AI, but bringing data and systems together, networking and connecting people on the ground to people back in the Pentagon.
I want to go back to the origin story that you get into, and like so many different things came to mind. I think about, you mentioned like 9/11, right? And the data that was missed, but it was there on government computers, but things not talking, and the role of Drew and what he wanted to do, because bringing data together to maybe make the military smarter, maybe save more lives, maybe be smarter in terms of how it does things. Tell us about Drew and who he was.
He's this fascinating Marine Corps colonel by the end of his career, but at the beginning in the book, I joined him as a very young intelligence officer who is angry really from the start because he doesn't have the right tools.
Right.
And he's very enterprising. He is on the internet right at the beginning reading open source newspapers, but he manages to run up this huge bill by connecting his computer and gets in trouble. So he is constantly someone who the bureaucracy is saying, don't overspend, use the existing tools, stay in your box, and someone who is constantly refusing to do that. And he develops this grand vision to bring more intelligence to operators. Rather than just leave it within the intelligence function, he wants to get information onto the front lines where troops are risking their necks.
Well, what was it about his specific experience in war that motivated him to keep pushing for this?
There are a few. One is in October 2001, he is part of the Marine Expeditionary Force sent to Afghanistan. And so he is an intelligence officer. And of course, you'll remember that very quickly the Marines are being maimed and killed by improvised explosive devices. Finding out where those were, the patterns that the Taliban were using, even the weather systems that meant that bomb layers were more likely to lay weapons, was something that really eluded the US for years. And in 2011, he's back in the Pentagon, and he tries to get this company that is now very well known, Palantir Technologies, to bring their data analytic platform out into the field. Now, the US already had platforms like this, but the common complaint was they weren't fit for purpose.
So I find, first of all, I think about Katrina, where we are in AI, and I think how much actually the government 10 years ago, like either working with Palantir or understanding how valuable data AI specifically could be in warfare. And I just think about how that maybe got everything rolling. And like go back to their reach out for Silicon Valley and how Palantir came into it. Like, was Palantir just, I know it came through a certain individual, but just kind of at the right place at the right time?
It's actually even more happenstance than that. Drew Kukul wants Google. Everyone knows that Google is great from a sort of access to the mapping facility, and the CIA.
Which the government was already involved in.
Yes, and In-Q-Tel, the CIA's investment arm, had invested in the company that becomes Google Earth. So they had a real sense that this was the platform they'd want to use. But when Project Maven started in 2017 and Drew Kukul becomes the chief of this project to bring AI computer vision to drone footage, to pull out data that they couldn't currently get, what's been publicly well covered is that Google protesters found out that they were on this project and were not keen to work with the Pentagon. When Google responded to this crisis, they decided not to renew the contract. They decided that they wouldn't work on weapons. And Drew Kukul has a problem. He needs a cutting-edge technology company to deliver his vision for war. And he rings up Palantir. And he says, hey, have you got a minute? And he flies over and meets with a team and says, this is my vision. And actually, Palantir doesn't want it. They are not an AI company. They are one of the AI skeptics at this time. And they also don't want to make a user interface. They don't see themselves as the sort of fancy, frilly, nice-looking bit. They want to do the data crunching. They concede because Drew Kukul is a very compelling, convincing person who makes his case. And slowly, this partnership develops really between Aki Jain, a senior official at Palantir, and Drew Kukul, working late nights to develop this platform to deliver what is now being used in the future of war today.